stage. Okay, James got it. Shokway's coming to grab it. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Shokway Pitchford, Executive Director of Berrien Forward.
I'm good.
You're going to face a lot of rejection attempting to change your community. There are many closed doors in our community, but one open mind and one good conversation can change it forever. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm sure people are going to be cycling in as we're going, but we're getting started right at 6 o'clock. My name is Shokway Pitchford. I am the Executive Director here at Berrien Forward. We are a 501c4, and our aim in this community is to up the level of public discourse, specifically if you look nationally at what's happening in this country. We have seen a degradation and the amount of vitriol that's been injected into our politics. One of the things that this organization strives to do is to raise that level of discord and get us back to talking about the issues that matter, right? For every one thing that your president, senator, House of Representatives member can do, your commissioners at large and your mayors can do 5. And they have the biggest impact on your life. In August of 2022, I launched this organization with a mission. And that mission was for all of Berrien County to highlight public education, to highlight civic engagement, to talk about the things that I think are getting lost in some of the partisan rancor and trying to find a way to create bipartisan solutions while also investing in candidates and education and making sure that when you go to the ballot box, you feel equipped, empowered, and educated to make the best decision about the candidates that you are voting for. And you can't do that unless you hear from them. And that's why we're having this debate tonight. Thank you. Thank you. This event is also being live streamed here on WSJM, so people are at home watching from the comfort of their home. And thank you for everyone that's watching at home for watching this debate. I am extremely excited to talk about the new crop of people in this community that are talking about these issues and making sure that we're putting civic engagement at the center of our discourse. And the person that I am excited to introduce today is James Gunter, who will be our moderator for tonight. Please give him a hand.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. First, let's give Shokway a round of applause. We also want to thank our host, Ben Harbor High School, and our sponsors, Berrien Forward, and Voters Not Politicians. So now I want to introduce our candidates for tonight. Commissioner Mary Alice Adams. Commissioner Edward Isom. Mrs. Emma Kennard. And Mr. Shaquille Turner. So now we would like to give every candidate a couple minutes, and I do mean to introduce yourselves, starting with you, Commissioner Adams.
Hello, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity to introduce myself to you once again. Coming before you as Commissioner Mary Alice Adams, running for re-election for my 4th term of serving the great city of Benton Harbor. I am a long-term resident of Benton Harbor. I've left for a while, and upon returning, I was distraught at no development within the community, and decided to be a part of the change that I wanted to see, and that those that pushed me forth to elect me to be as well in the change that and the growth for our community. Thank you.
Mr. Turner.
Good evening. My name is Shaquille. And the reason why I am running for Commissioner Large here in the city of Benton Harbor is because I see our city not moving forward. We have moved backwards over time. Growing up in Benton Harbor, I noticed that there have not been structure and leadership. Our finances have been in dysfunction, and we have not seen a positive role models in our community here. As young people, we can identify who our young people can be, even inspired nowadays. So my hopes and dreams is to have a vision that outlines the structure, a vision that makes sure we have an economy that works for all Benton Harbor residents, not as corporations or bullies that come into our community and try to take over our community. We need structure where that I will make sure that our community has been transparent, making sure we put public safety first and identifying an economy that works for our community with a growing $1 million each and every year.
Mrs. Kennard, I apologize.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. I feel honored to be here before you all. And I am a resident of Benton Harbor for over 50 years. And when I came here, it was a very beautiful, friendly city. And things that I've seen over the past, I felt very heartened about it. I worked in the school system for 26 years. And I noticed what was going on with the children. And after I retired, I started attending our local government meetings, the commission meetings. And over a period of time, I could see a lot of things that was promised and they wasn't fulfilled. There was no transparency. I saw many times they were in violation of their own charter. So these are the things that we need to be on point and be clear and give our community clarity on the things that they ask for. So I'm here to just work as hard as I've always worked. Thank you.
Thank you. And please, everyone speak up just a little bit, just so we can make sure your voice is amplified. And you, Commissioner Isom?
Yes, first I want to thank Berrien Forward, voters, not politicians, and the Benton Harbor High School for hosting this event and the candidates that did show up. I'm Commissioner Edward Isom, been a commissioner since 2015. I done watched the city grow, prosper, look for the good in people. There's a lot of good in Benton Harbor that's happening right now. And I want to keep this thing rolling and seeking re-election. But we got good people. We got good people here now. That's why they came out to hear the candidates' voices and opinions. And the motivation that the city is moving in, you know, infrastructure, housing. So I think we're in the right direction. And I just want to keep this motivation going. And again, thank you for putting on this event.
All right, so let's dive right in. Do want to say just a couple ground rules, and we all had these ahead of time. If another candidate invokes your name directly, intending to issue a critique, you have 30 seconds to directly respond to the accusation, statement, or question. Invoking may only occur during the general discussion portion of the debate. With that, we'll start with our first topic. Statistically, the city of Benton Harbor is ranked 3rd in the state of Michigan for homicides per capita. What would your plan be as commissioner at large to reduce the amount of to reduce the amount of community violence? Let's start with you, Shaquille.
First of all, that's a good question, but let me also give you the facts. That statistic's not correct. What they're doing is they're taking Benton Township and surrounding crime and putting it on Benton Harbor residents. So we gotta make sure we give them the actual facts versus trying to get the grants off Benton Harbor backs. So to address the gun violence in Benton Harbor, we have to go back to the hearts of the matter. And that's going to meet our children where they are. If they're at wings and things, uptown and smiles, let's meet our young kids where they are and understand what's really going on. This is a home matter we're dealing with. So we have to make sure that we give them the right tools they need to grow and be better. So when we need more resources, and there are state and federal guidelines that we can go out and get to make sure that our community have what we need. We also need to make sure we're working with public safety and giving them the tools they need to combat and deal with the homicide. Right now, we are almost down 8 officers, so we cannot even respond correctly to the calls. We're overworked, and that's across all of the municipalities right now. So however, we need to make sure that we're providing our Department of Public Safety.
I'm sorry. So we want to try to stick to our timelines here. Commissioner Adams?
Repeat the question.
Sure. Statistically, the city of Benton Harbor is ranked third in the state of Michigan for homicides per capita. What would your plan be as commissioner at large to reduce the amount of community violence?
Well, I don't agree with the statistics, and being a part and a member of ALPAC since its conception shortly thereafter in 2010, up until just a couple of years ago, I've taken on quite a bit of tasks, especially after losing a son and a nephew in 97 that brought about the Boys and Girls Club, thanks to Fred Upton and then Janet Reno. Obama was elected into office, and then there came Trayvon Martin. There's a lot of things that happened in between those dashes, and it has not stopped, it's just intensified. And upon Obama initiating My Brother's Keeper, I became the community liaison and member and point of contact.
That's your
And
time
I
as well.
intend to continue.
Thank you. Ms. Kennard?
One of the things that I see in our community is that we've got to have things that keep our children's attention. One of the things is that we have to have on skating rings, we need to have other activities that can be well supervised for our children. Give them something to do rather than walk the street and get into other gang activities and other things like that. We need to have our police that was supposed to have rode bikes through our neighborhood and keep in contact with our community. So I think that if our policing would get more involved in being a part and on the street and connecting with our community, with our children, I think it would make it better in their leisure time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Ison?
Yes, I will support and advocate for violence intervention and support education on gun safety and stop the guns from coming in, like stop the excess of gun coming in for the youth and people that can harm themselves, and keep the state police coming in to assist on getting guns off the street and address the number one thing that I feel that will help a lot, and that's mental illness. Address mental illness, I think we can help keep the guns out of the community.
Thank you. Mr. Turner, you mentioned in your opening remarks that you didn't feel that that statistic was correct. Expound on that.
So what our Director of Public Safety have come out last year on Facebook Live. He even condemned the statistics that they came out with, showing that what they're doing is they're taking the crime from Benton Township as well as St. Joe and other communities and putting that stuff back up in Benton Harbor. So I would recommend that Benton Harbor residents go back to that live video of our Director of Public Safety breaking it down, the statistics of what they're using against Benton Harbor residents.
You also mentioned that, Commissioner Adams. Would you like to follow up on your statement?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You also mentioned that you didn't agree with the statistic.
Oh, I don't agree with the statistics for the main reason of having access to some scholars of My Brother's Keeper working with the universities all across Michigan and gathering that data. I know it to not be factual, and with the reports that the Berrien County Sheriff, Paul Bailey, shared with the group of ALPAC on a monthly basis. But I will, however, like to say that we will be continually looking at ways to reimagine policing, because all tax dollars can't go just towards policing, or the children are going to continue on the path they're on.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. In the spirit of being as accurate as we can with our information, we're going to do our best to relay proper statistics and numbers. And as it stands, the attorney for West Michigan has confirmed the statistics that the city of Benton Harbor is ranked third in the state of Michigan. So want that to be stated and known.
Okay, so Mrs. Kennard, how would your plan differ from what has been tried before in terms of community violence? How would your
In
plan?
community violence?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, in my own way, after I retired from the school, I created a garden, teaching children about clean ways of keeping their community healthy and clean. And we do know that we've got a lot of work to do in that area. But to get those children's attention, to sort of more involve themselves in something positive, because they eat, and a lot of times keeping them away from junk food, I thought I'd create a Fresh Start Children's Garden. So we need to create things that would interest these children, to keep them more focused in something positive. They got many ways that they would like to do, maybe hair, nails. They like to do skating, many activities. But we got to create things that draw their interest away from being in the street and creating violent acts.
Mr. Turner, how much does I apologize. The city currently spends $2.9 million on public safety. Is that effective?
Yes. The reason why is because if we go back to having 3 shifts, remember in 2009, we merged to public safety. If you bring back A, B, and C shift, we will be over our budget that we currently do not have in Benton Harbor. So we are saving the city millions of dollars. So as our director has stated before, we are short 8 staff members. So he's doing the best he can with what he got. So he's trying his best, but until he has better leadership that can support him, we doing the best we can do right now in Benton Harbor with the current budget.
Thank you for your answer. I do want to correct myself. That was the proposed budget, not the current budget. Commissioner Isom, same question.
Yes, if you realize that public safety is the highest budget item on the budget, but we want people in Benton Harbor to feel safe. So whatever it takes, we got to fill these positions to get more officers on the ground to communicate with the residents of this city. We want everybody to feel safe, and not left out, and more cars on patrol, what's going on in the city, the reckless driving and stops and guns. And so we shorthanded right now, but I think the budget is just right, but we budgeted for the fire and police. So I think it'll add up good for the safety of the residents.
I just want to follow up and state that it is correct that the 2.9 million is the highest budget item proposed for the city, and yet we're still hearing talks of gun violence and crime in the city. So to follow up, Commissioner Isom and Mr. Turner, if you believe that the 2.9 million is effective, it's being spent effectively, and if not, how can it be spent to address rampant crime and violence?
Well, again,
Commissioner Isom, you can.
For me, again, like I say, we're shorthanded right now, but using programs to go into the neighborhoods and talk to the people, recognize the ins and outs, you can see people gathering. I know we had some of the stores closed early to shut down because people out, partying, out driving recklessly. So I think that money can help out it's been helping out, and we can see a drop in crime rates.
Yeah, he can answer.
So the budget is accurate, unfortunately. However, I believe that we need to make sure that we're bringing in more resources to help out the Department of Public Safety. We need a community liaison person that can help out with the intervention of community violence. So unfortunately, we cannot reduce our public safety budget. If we decrease their budget, we are going to lose more officers than anybody else. So if we keep on decreasing, I understand that we have a gun violence issue in our community, but there's other resources we can get to help out our public safety, whether we not tap into our general funding account. And I'm more than willing to see what our Director of Public Safety in the community to address those issues as we keep on going.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And we're going to move on to topic 2, but right before we do that, I want to give Commissioner Adams and Mrs. Kennard 30 seconds to respond to this topic if they'd like. Following on crime and effectively spending.
It's not working. It's not working, and something must be done, and I'm asking all grassroots organizations and expecting them to step up to the plate and help put together some initiatives for our children and redirect them in this community to spur what they need to keep them active in positive things that will reduce crime itself. At an earlier age, though, is where it has to start.
Thank you. Mrs. Kennard.
This fall, I have joined with another gentleman that has came in to take on the mission of trying to get our children more involved in a phase of training of something of their interest. And mine is in the horticultural area. And I will be teaching landscaping as well so as floral designing. So these children, we can capture as many as we can with whatever our background is, and we can share it with those children. And we got to create things because children are children and they are into activity. So what we need to do is have skating rings, things that interest us, basketball field, that the Paw building over there, they've got that building just sitting there.
Thank
So
you,
we
Mrs.
need
Kennard.
to have those children with something to do there.
Thank you.
So on our next topic, we'll talk about the environment. So Governor Whitmer, at her What's Next address, detailed a climate package going through the state legislature this year, which if passed would achieve carbon neutrality by 2050 to help avert a climate disaster. How would that package impact the city of Benton Harbor? And with the green economy growing, how will you ensure Benton Harbor positions itself to benefit from this expanding industry, especially given our water crisis we just experienced? Let's start with you, Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. And I just think that it's going to take stronger leadership, more like-mindedness to get things done, to put legislation and policy in place to ensure that we are following the things to curb climate change, because it's real and it's happening. And I've been working with other organizations as well as locally on fuel reduction of gas emissions, going into the air, things that we can use in our vehicles. It's happening now. See, things don't happen overnight, but what a lot of people don't know is I've been fighting for this for the last past since I entered office in 2011, and it's happening now, and I will continue.
Mrs. Kennard.
In 2015, I received the Conservation Award from the USDA. I'm the first Black non-farmer to receive that award. And those practices are, many times we used to see butterflies, bumblebees, and all of that. But the different kinds of chemicals that's being used in the, even the good fields, the Monsanto has designed different methods of controlling diseases and everything, but a lot of them work against our bees, our butterflies, our pollinators, and this is a lot of things that is causing a problem in our change in our climate. So I think that these are some of the things we need to focus in on, even when it comes to having composting. I'm more or less working on composting. Instead of burning leaves, people should compost. I know in the city we don't burn, but composting would be a great method of even working on in that area.
Thank you. Mr. Turner, we've seen over the last, especially over the last year, how a lot of different people have championed human factors such as dumping. How can this also align in that way?
So I do agree with the governor outline plan she had from 2030 into 2050. We move our state into solar panels and other nature. To address illegal dumping, it has been a growing concern. It is a public safety concern for me. It's also a public health concern. Look around Benton Harbor, we have like landfills around here that we're not addressing. So we need to address it. It is piling up and piling up. So how do we address it when we keep on saying we're short staffed, no income, but we find income from everything else? So I believe that what the governor outlined will help Benton Harbor to move the illegal dumping that we've been not addressing.
Commissioner Isom, What can you do, or what would you like to see done to impact Benton Harbor's green emissions?
Well, we have, I think a good idea, what we started now is recycling. You must invest in recycling. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And we know that the illegal dumping has happened, and we have put up cameras to detect that. But, you know, the city has to go green. It's gonna take private investors. It's gonna take all of us to turn this city green. You know, walkable spaces, transportation, the water management. The city is doing it as we speak, and we have plans to go solar with the lights, street lights. That'll be helpful too, and waste management. You know, again, but recycling is one of the number one investments I think the city needs to invest in to really go green and plant more trees, plant more flowers. You know, to keep it green and beautify the city.
Commissioner Adams, in your opening answer, you stated stronger leadership. Can you expand on that? Who needs to be stronger?
We all do, standing for what we know to be right and what needs to be done. And sometimes it's hard, you know, but looking at the overall picture, not just focusing on a one sector of people, but it's all, and it just happens to be a predominantly black community. But we're becoming more diverse. And we have to come together on common ground to stand for everybody, not just corporations. And that's what I've seen in the past. But we just can't say yes to everything and don't just come before us 20 minutes before a meeting with a 20-year-old book and expect us to read it and vote on it. You know, some things just need to change.
Thank you.
Mrs. Kennard, Benton Harbor recently had new lead pipes installed in the city, and the contamination of lead in the water has been addressed, yet residents are still skeptical if the water is safe to drink. How would you address their concerns?
I can really understand that concern. I was the one that's first starting the alarm. As different ones can tell you here, I brought 2 bottles in and gave them to the mayor and told him my concerns about the water. And I have not to this day got any kind of answer concerning what I asked him to do. So my concern is that they have not been transparent over the years, so I can understand the reluctance of the people. I worked in the school system. I've seen many children go from 0 to 100 in their attitude, and I didn't understand what was going on with those children. But this lead and this water is a lot of the crime that we see that is happening because it has altered the character of a lot of the people in our community, children as well. So especially our young ones.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes, we know now that 99.9 of the lead line service lines have been replaced. And now we're going into people's homes and changing pipes, anything to do with lead. So even today, we found out that the lawsuits that was against Ben Harbor have been dropped, did not pass. So the lead was an issue, and now we moving forward and getting the lead out of the city.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Turner?
So I understand what the residents coming from. However, my main concern is the middle pipe that we're not addressing. That middle pipe goes from your house to the water plant. Did we not fix that pipe either? They had lead in it somewhere. We fixed up downtown by the golf course. They got brand new pipes. But what about the inner city? So we got to fix those middle pipes and stop saying, well, look at me, I got something done. But that middle pipe is not corrected just yet. So we need to make sure we find the resources and go street by street and fix our middle pipes for our residents.
Thank you. Our next topic is federal and state money allocation. With the unprecedented amount of funding being made available by federal and state governments, as Commissioner at Large, how would you spend these dollars to maximize their impact on Benton Harbor residents? Let's start with you, Commissioner Adams.
I'll start by picking up where Mr. Turner just left off, and that's doing the infrastructural work that's over 100 years old that needs to be replaced at some point in time. And when I first ran for office, that's what I ran on, because I grew up in Benton Harbor, and being closer to 150, I know that the water just isn't the same. And you can't put a Band-Aid on things. And when the federal government sends dollars, they need to start sending them directly to the communities in which they are supposed to be impacting and not the state, because by the time it reaches local units of government, it's been pinched off of. And we don't get to do the work that needs to be done. Oh, I got some more time.
I didn't know if you were done. Mrs. Kennard?
One of the things that I see our city government doesn't have in place is a finance director. We've had one after another being replaced. Not replaced, but moved. They had to leave because they didn't have the proper information that it needs. When we got someone to oversee our dollars and how it's being spent, we can better succeed in the things that it's supposed to be applied to. And that's one of the things that is overlooked. It's in violation of your own charter by not having someone there. And we've been without one for years.
Commissioner Eisen, being the current finance chair for our city commission, how would you answer that?
I think we have been good steward of the funds that we've been getting. And that's why the funds keep coming in for this project, even though we don't have a finance director right now, but we have someone in place that keep our funds, keep all the accounts, but the monies that coming in right now for streets, sewer lines, storm drains. So we've been good steward of the funds from the state and federal. ARPA money, CARES Act, that money will keep being allocated to the city for the proper repairs or whatever we need.
Thank you. And just as a question, and I want to pose this to everyone, what is a program that you would like to see funded that's not currently being funded, that you would like to champion? 30 seconds. Go ahead,
Mental
Mr.
health.
Turner.
Mental health.
Oh, flat right there.
Mental health, because that's a leading cause right now and across our community, across America. It's mental health.
Mrs. Kennard?
The one that I would see that would need most attention would be, would you
Sure.
say that again? Because I want to make sure that I'm answering correctly.
So in the spirit of state and federal dollars being allocated to Ben Harbor at unprecedented levels, what's a cause that you would like to champion that's not already being funded in the city?
Well, for one thing, I'm not sure where we are a lot of times because of not having a finance director in there to manage the money. But I would love to see them in place there to make sure that the money is going direct to the places that it's supposed to be applied to, and especially into our community, because our community is so lacking in the appearance of it and the care, even as far as having the fire hydrants taken care of. And the fire hydrants is important because of the safety for the community, and they've got orange bags over them.
Thank you. Commissioner Eisen?
Yes, I would say mental illness too, because we have people with years and years of trauma, and they grow up to adults, teenagers, and just not themselves. And so I feel mental illness is a real program that we need to address in the city that will help out families, the youth to live a better life.
Thank you. And Commissioner Adams?
Job training, because those are the type of things that lead into mental health issues. When a person doesn't have a job, they've been searching, and can't find one, you don't have a roof over your head. I mean, and that just, if we had the training, the structure of actual training, and the fund is coming here, and it's actually ridiculous, but training for jobs, actual manufacturing jobs to come in here, to entice some type of developers to come in here and bring us a manufacturing job that pays us and the residents to earn a decent living. And I truly believe that would be one of the issues that would help mental health.
Thank you, Commissioner. So for our next topic, we'll talk about housing. The cost of housing is on the rise, and many residents are finding it difficult to be able to afford housing given the new developments in the city. Do you see housing affordability as a concern for residents? And what in your own plan would address this? Let's start with you, Mr. Turner.
So we do know the house price in Benton Harbor is too high. The minimum income in Benton Harbor is like $24,000. So how can you afford rent that's $1,600? So in order to leverage that plan is that we need to make sure that we're leveraging it according to our residents' income, which means we got to stop price gouging around here. And so what I would like to work with the housing individuals, I know two in Benton Harbor who I would love to work with to help me come up with a good plan, a model plan that makes sure everyone in Benton Harbor have a home to live in addressing the lack of clean water, the lack of not having a clean roof or windows, removing plastic bags off people's homes. So that's what we need. Right now, the city currently owns between 400 and 600 lots. How do we build right there? Whether we think about model homes or small, tiny homes, I believe that would help us address our decrease in homes right now in the Harbor crisis.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes, so right now, the city is on the verge of approving Monday night Project T on the Mercy Hospital lot, where we have middle class, low income, and senior citizen housing. So the city have attacked this. We know we have, the nation is shortage of housing. So the city have came up with plans, working with Habitat, and now we see working with nonprofits and even private owners, you know, buying houses to fill empty lots, rehabbing them. So I think we're in the right direction of filling these vacancies of housing.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams?
Your question again, please.
Sure. So we're discussing housing. Do you see housing affordability as a concern for residents, and how would your plan address this?
Very much so. As a legislative chair and Planning and Economic Development co-chair for nearly 8 years, that's what I tasked. And I think it's very important because, once again, if there's no training or jobs available for a person to be able to even afford a home, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. So training has to start somewhere, even if it's that training that's building those homes. Some type of manufacturing jobs have to start somewhere. And they need to be more affordable. And I think that someone has it wrong when they come up with the income level of Benton Harbor. Go out and talk to the people that actually work in your community and even in the township that live in the community. It is not enough, and it's not 24,000, I can assure you. And something has got to be done.
Ms. Kennard?
Yes, I think in many areas, we do have things in place, but we need an oversight board to make sure that they are following the rules of making sure that this fits the people that really need housing, and they're low-income people. So we need an oversight of many things that we have going on in our city, such as we even have the city income tax. We had a board that met, all of a sudden it's dissolved, and who knows where it is. It's all over the place. And so this is one of the ways that we need to get leverage on that, have an oversight of these boards and these others that are putting these items, front forward.
Thank you. And this question will be for everyone. Please stick to 30 minutes. Is rent too high, or do wages need to rise? And how can you, I'm sorry, 30 seconds, not 30 minutes. Is rent too high, or do wages need to rise? And how can you as commissioner impact wages? Let's start with you, Commissioner Adams.
Well, I mean, it sounds like where I left off. Do I think that, you gotta repeat that.
Is rent too high, or do wages need to rise? And how can you as commissioner impact that?
Rent is too high, yes. Wages need to rise, yes. Yes and yes. And as a commissioner, all I can do is to come up with ideas and search and research and try to lobby Congress, the State House of Michigan, for more funding towards those things, and to work with my colleagues, other elected officials that are willing to come together, because it takes the majority of the vote to push anything, to ensure that we're all fighting for the same thing, knowing that those things need to happen, so that we can actually put a tangible thing in place.
Mr. Turner?
So yes, the rent is too high, and yes, wages do need to go up. So what the first thing we need to do is identify our housing market developers, bring them to the table, and have an honest discussion that this is not working for our community. Once we build that develop an action plan with our developers and our residents, then we got to go to our stakeholders and say, hey, we got an issue here. We need to be figuring out how we leverage this here, because it's not working for our community. And this is what's going across America. We're not even champion as one whole in figuring out how do we leverage the rent with our wages.
Thank you. Mrs. Kennard?
One of the things that I've seen in our most recent wages, they said, oh, we've got wages has gone up, but then food rates and everything else went up. Housing and everything is just off the charts, as well, so is food and everything else. So it's not in the hand of the persons that are struggling. It's more in, we've got to get to the ones that are on the top scale that are implementing these prices, like say for instance now developers come in and they put high rates on things. Things is costing them more, and they're putting in more on us. So I'm thinking that we've got to.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Isom?
Yes, I feel that the impact of the cost of living is what's doing it. You know, the wages, cost of living going up, wages staying right there. So, you know, start with your job too. You know, if you're gonna have to introduce people to working for unions or skilled trades, that they can make more money to afford housing, because the impact of cost of living is every day going up. Gas, food, you know, education. So to get a skilled trade job or a better job, or have rent stabilization, maybe could help. We could expand on that. So it's going to take a lot.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Before we move on to our final topic, I think this is really important to follow up on. I want to give each of you at least 30 seconds to answer, since there is some sort of agreement that it's wages that are too low and the rent that is also too high. But if wages rise, would it be wrong to assume that the rates would also go up? That the rent would also go up? If wages rise, would rent also go up? So how can you ensure that residents can earn a living wage while also stabilizing the cost of living, such as rent? So you each can get 30 seconds to respond. Commissioner Adams, would you like to start?
Well, being previously holding down a legislative chair, which started with policy and putting procedures in place to where they're not allowed to actually do that. And working with those in the community that actually hire our people would just have to abide by those, or they probably go out of business themselves if they don't have the workers they need to fulfill their orders and the performance of the jobs that they have that are available. Because I don't think that, I mean, that's why we have a lot of picketing going on now. If there's no labor unions in place for people to have people to stand up and fight for them, then those are the type of things that happen. But I think that it would start with policies and procedures that need to be in place to ensure that those employees are safeguarded from those type of things happening. With
Mr. Turner.
consequences, of course.
So it goes back to my original statement. I said, meeting with those developers. In that action plan you outline for the next couple of years, or 2 years or 4 years, however long we negotiated, we put a cap on it. That way, while we negotiate getting the wages up, we have a maximum cap on the rent or the mortgage going on in our community. That's my only answer I can come up with, making sure we have a cap with our business developers. Because if you make a policy and they have it at the table, They snatched their resources from us. So now we're back at square one, where we have homeless rates in Ben Harbor increasing as we see right now.
Mrs. Kennard?
Yes, our local government can play a great part in that, because the first thing that the developers and others that are buying into our city with different businesses, they come to our city government first, and they can put a cap on a lot of things that is going forward in order for them to do business in our city. So I think that it's going to start with our local government and having a plan that they all will come together and work together in putting in place.
Yes, I think rent stabilization would be good too, but, you know, I think we have to match the people, your income. You can't go out and get a $200,000 house on working at McDonald's. So I think you can't go out there and spend what you don't have. So I think we gotta match your income with your housing.
Thank you. So delving it even deeper into housing, there's been a lot of talk about things like gentrification and home ownership. Kind of speak to how that can also help in our housing. 30 seconds. Go ahead, Commissioner Adam, sorry.
Speak to how it can help.
Um,
Gentrification?
No, so the question is, well, more of a statement initially, but when we talk about gentrification and things like how attainable home ownership is there a plan? Do you have a plan to address those things?
Well, actually, those are things that we have been addressing. And it's been a continual thing, but you know, it's kind of hard when you're in a community that has no tax base and can afford the services that we need to take care of other services that the residents expect from the city. If we don't do something to increase the tax base, a lot of things just aren't going to happen, and definitely not overnight. But those are definitely things that we have been trying to address over the years to ensure that gentrification is not happening.
Thank you. Mr. Turner.
So my plan is to work with different organizations and nonprofit organizations to help us as leaders to identify the cause and roots of why we have this issue in our community. So that way we can put a stop to it.
Ms. Kennard.
Yes, gentrification is very real. Some years ago, there was notes dropped in our mailboxes and everything, asking us under no commitment that they would buy our properties and everything. So this is very definite that a lot of people are struggling with their home and upkeeping their taxes and other things. And so they feel led to just go ahead and sell to these developers that are coming in and getting the housing for cheap, or, you know, people that are struggling are having a problem. So I think that that is one of the ways that they're being squeezed in a way in leaving their homes, and the developers are getting the homes and they're going to redevelop, and it's not going to be a space for us because we're going to be outsourced here and put in places outside of our city.
Thank you. Commissioner Eisen.
Yes, I think with the main thing, we want our residents to stay here, stay in the city. You know, don't sell in your homes. You know, you can work out payment plans with the county and with the city. But we want to make sure that, you know, I know the city done bought up lots and houses, you know, trying to rehab them, working with nonprofits again, that we want our residents to stay here in this city, you know, stay here, not leaving. So I think it's the best effort we can do is just help them with getting on their feet and stay in their homes with their mortgage or tax, or even before they get in foreclosures or something like that.
Thank you. Okay, so starting with Commissioner Isom, I would like for you all to give your closing statement, 2 minutes each.
Close statements. It's been a good debate so far. You know, Ms. Kennard brought up keep bringing up the finance director. There's a lot to say on that. I'm not going to go off onto that. But the city, as personnel finance chair, we didn't have clean audits, on-time budgets, meeting payroll, been good stewards of our money, fixing roads, the projects, the money we've been coming in, fixing roads, led line services, and so the finances are well, and we're moving the city forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Kennard.
I'd like to say, I made that statement because that is deep in what I feel, that a finance director should be, that's in the charter, and he should be there to fill that position. If he had not been so, why would you get somebody outside of the city that doesn't fit the place of a finance director, not direct? One of the things that I see that they getting a clean audit when there's over $100,000 that was given to the cemetery and hadn't been accounted for even yet. So how's your audit being clean? So there's a lot of things that's been sort of covered up that hasn't been transparent and open to the public for them to see the real thing. So that's why I'm coming on board. Is a lot of the things that has over the period of time has been just shoveled over, and it's going to surface eventually. So we better just go ahead and deal with it now.
Mr. Turner.
So for me, what's currently working right now in Ben Harbor is not working for me and many other residents in Ben Harbor. So we need to change our leadership because unfortunately our leadership are not being transparent on a lot of issues. We do know that last Wednesday, our city got some negativity information about our finances. Pretty soon, Ben Harbor might be another emergency management pretty soon if we're not very cautious here. So we got some issues here in Ben Harbor that I believe that we need to change leadership and put in fresh meat down there because it's not working for us. And I'm tired of hearing duly noted, not responding to emails, not responding to residents' phone calls. So we need to get them out of there. And that's just my final close.
Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. You know, I ride downtown and I see all this activity that wasn't there when I first returned to Benton Harbor in 98, 99. And when I got involved in 2002, it was an honor to sit as a Brownfield Authority board member that kicked off and spurred some economic growth in this community for St. Joe as well. And you know, it didn't happen overnight, but now that it's happening, I ride downtown and I smile at just seeing bodies of people, just movement, and whatever they choose to do. But decriminalizing marijuana, creating some jobs to add to our tax base so that people can afford a roof over their head, these are the type of things that we have to continue to do. And as long as they are following the laws of the land, so be it. So be it. I've been working on some things and they're still coming to fruition. Years ago, I mean, finding funding, arguing with our state and the federal government for funding for our infrastructure. It didn't just happen last week or when this water crisis happened. It's been happening for many years. Just like they can send billions to other countries, come on now. We need it too. We're the taxpayers. We are Americans and we deserve better in our communities. And if you don't have the right fighters fighting for you, guess what you're going to get? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams, and thank you all for your closing statements. In the spirit of civic engagement, as you all are, or some of you are currently local elected officials and some of you are running to be elected officials, the final question we wanted to just pose to you all is what is your message to the next generation on why they should get involved with the city of Benton Harbor? And you each can take 30 seconds to a minute for that. Mr. Turner, would you like to start?
So, of course, I'm the youngest one up here. I'm 30 years old. As I stated before, I look around my community, I ask myself daily, who is my next leader? Who do I look up to? And unfortunately, our young people ask that same question daily. Who do they look up to? And no one in this community we can look up to, unfortunately. All we see is corruption. And so we are repeating the same history of what I see. And so as the next commissioner at large, my message to our young people is stand behind me because I want to lead our community where our young people will have a leader they can follow that hear their concern and they can step in the same roles as I did before.
Thank you. Mrs. Kennard?
I've heard a saying, if you treat your life casually, we might become a casualty. And if we don't get serious about our city, as he said, he's the youngest, I'm the oldest up here. I'm 80 years old. But I see a need to continue to fight for my city. I love it. And I love our youth. I've worked in the schools with them. I've tried to create programs to keep in contact with my community. So I love my city. To see it go down and be mistreated and things being mishandled when they could come forward and be a great beacon of light for our community, for our youth that is coming forward. It just burdens my heart at some of the things that I've seen. So I'm going forward. I'm going to do as much research as I possibly can, if elected, to try to see and make the best decisions for my community. And most of all, I don't want to shake hands with them and ask them for their vote now. And after I'm elected, I don't have anything to say, and I don't have enough time for them or to return their calls.
Thank you, Mrs. Kennard. Commissioner Isa.
Yes, I think it's very important for the young people, youth, to get involved at a young age on how the local government and government work to for the future, for the best, 5 to 10 years from now. You know, I won't be here. I'm sure none of us won't be here, I guess, but it'd be best to see how it's run, how our government is ran now, learn the ups and downs and the state and government rules and how it's governed.
Commissioner Adams. Oh, the question was, what is your message to the next generation on why they should get involved with the city of Benton Harbor?
I've given it and I give it all the time, especially with every youngster I see, every youth I see. And actually the one that opened this up is one of them, Mr. Chokwe. I admire that young man, and that's the type of leadership that I heard Barack Obama speak of, raising young leadership. And that's when I got involved in my Brother's Keeper Alliance with other communities in the state of Michigan. And we're the only state that has this clog like of communities in raising young leadership. Not to say that young leadership, just because you see change that needs to take place, don't come after your elders. Listen to wisdom. Listen to wisdom. I researched for nearly 10 years before I stepped up, but that was the last straw. We are not about to give up democracy, because that's what was about to happen. And it took long fighters that will flip tables to step up and put emergency management back into the bottle, because the genie had been let loose, and it's still loose because they're trying to utilize this test tube that came to Benton Harbor all over this country. And we can't have it, because we're not a third world country, and we should not allow ourselves to become. And it's going to take young leadership like yourself.
Thank you.
To step up.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams.
In closing, we would like to give our candidates here a good round of applause. And candidates, you can exit the way you came in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your water.
One moment, please. Come back, Mr. Turner.
Oh. Oh. Doesn't matter. How do you want us?
Can I have this one, please, look right here, so we can take some pictures and we can move on.
Good job. Good job.
Yes. Miss, how are you, sweetie? No, you too.
Good evening, everyone. They're about to reconfigure. Am I getting feedback? Oh, okay. Is this better? Yes. All right. As they are reconfiguring the stage for part 2 of our event, the mayoral debate, I wanted to come on and say a few words. My name is Lyndon Defoe. I'm the Deputy Campaign Manager with Voters Not Politicians Education Fund. And we are just thrilled to be in Benton Harbor this evening. We're very proud to be partners with Berrien Forward to put this event together and bring this to the community because we are deeply committed to strengthening and promoting democracy in Michigan. And we do that through public education and civic participation. Candidate forums and mayoral and debates are a really great way to get voters excited about elections, especially local elections. But it's also just as important to make sure voters are informed on voting rules and voting methods. So that's why Voters Not Politicians Education Fund, we will be bringing a voter access town hall here to Benton Harbor on Saturday, October 21st. When you were coming into the auditorium, you might have seen these flyers on our table outside the event. Please, if you haven't already, pick up a flyer, save the date, Saturday, October 21st. There's a QR code. If you scan the QR code, it'll take 30 seconds to fill out the Google form, RSVP, let us know you're coming. Right now, I'm 99% confident the town hall will be right across the street at the Boys and Girls Club at 1 p.m. If you RSVP, we have your contact. We can keep you updated on confirming the details of that. And this town hall is really in tandem to this debate. Tonight, you all are learning about the candidates, their platform, and their vision for the city. And at the town hall, you will learn about how to make your voting plan and how to understand the new changes to the voting laws that are going to be coming to Michigan and that will be implemented statewide starting in 2024. It's yet another opportunity to promote civic engagement and keep the community attuned and excited about local government. So please take a flyer. They'll be here after the event. I have some up here if you'd like to grab one now, but just want to put that plug. They might already be done setting up this event, so I won't get in the way of that, but just want to share that and let you all know that we really appreciate being here tonight, and we thank you all for coming, and we also thank the commissioners for opening up the first half of this event, and we're very excited to kick off the mayoral debate. All right, thank you.
This is the second part of our debate tonight. This debate is going to be the mayoral debate for Benton Harbor at this event, which is called The Future of Benton Harbor. We're going to have two candidates come out now that James is going to introduce. Please hold all applause until the end, except when candidates are coming out. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Give yourselves a round of applause again for being here. So our first candidate is Ms. Gwen Swanigan, community leader and social justice advocate. My apologies, Gwen Johnson. And next up, we have Mayor Marcus Muhammad. So both of you take a 2 minutes to introduce yourselves, starting with you, Mrs. Johnson.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Got this mic. Hello. I am Gwen Johnson. Is that this? I am Gwen Johnson, and I am claiming the seat of the mayoral position. As they say, I'm a community organizer, social justice leader, community activist. Have a history in HR for over 30 years. Also community economic development, public speaking, and also people operations, and, employment engagement, and community engagement. I am not, first of all, I just want to say this, I'm not a politician, okay? I am a public servant. I don't serve the politics, I serve the public. I have a passion for the people. I have a passion for my people. I am a native of Benton Harbor, born and raised here, graduated from Benton Harbor High School. Why am I claiming this seat? Am I supposed to say that now? Okay. I want to create a positive change in our community because our community does need a change. I mean, we need a drastic change. We hear people saying, you know, everything's fine, but if you look around, you can see everything is not fine. So I'm here to help invoke that change. I'm here and I'm going to stand up for my community, be a voice for the community, addressing every issue that plagues us in our inner city, not just our downtown, but our inner city, our people that live inside the city, not just downtown. Downtown can look beautiful, but what about our inner city? So I'm going to be speaking against not just building up downtown, but building up the inner city also. Reviewing policies and procedures, right? Reviewing them and rewriting them if need be, because rewriting them to help us, not hurt us. And helping reshape our city along with our community
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
to make a better Benton Harbor.
My apologies.
I'm
I
sorry.
lost track of time. Mayor Muhammad.
Thank you. My name is Marcus Muhammad. I'm a proud graduate of Benton Harbor High School, class of 1993. I stand here today as a husband. I have my beautiful wife here with me today for 22 years. I'm a father of 7 children. I'm a graduate of DePaul University with a major in communication, a minor in psychology. I taught in Chicago for 10 years before I decided to come home. And I started teaching at Benton Harbor High School in 2003, coaching 7th and 8th grade. Went back to Chicago for a couple years, and I received a call to come back to be the head coach, where I coached for 5 years, also coached for 4 years with the girls basketball program, and had the opportunity to touch lives as Wilson Chandler, Kaiser Gondrzak, Calabria Gondrzak, as well as Joyce Bell, and many others. And I decided to run for public office in 2009. I became a commissioner at large, I also was the mayor pro tem for 2 years, and I was asked to run for mayor in 2015, and I've served in that position ever since. I've been honored and blessed to work with 3 governors, 3 different presidents, and serve the residents and people of Benton Harbor. Leadership is very critical, and the city of Benton Harbor is in a very unique place where we have come through a financial crisis, education crisis, a health crisis, water crisis, and we are right at that point where we have come through those things and we're ready to build and move forward. And I've been honored to have the relationships to secure the funding and make Benton Harbor a better place moving forward.
Thank you. So I just asked that you both kind of project just a little bit more just to make sure everyone can hear you. All right, so we'll dive right in. Statistically, the city of Benton Harbor is ranked 3rd in the state of Michigan for homicides per capita. What would your plan be as mayor to reduce the amount of community violence? Let's start with you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Well, just recently, I wrote a letter supporting Commissioner Chokwe Pittsburgh and Berrien Forward Boys and Girls Club, and they were awarded over $2 million in order to curb the violence that we see in the city of Benton Harbor. But one of the ways to address violence is education. So we must find a way in order to improve the education in the city of Benton Harbor. And I've been working with the school board as well as the superintendent. But we also have to create an environment for economic development, for jobs, because when people have hope and have opportunity, then that can steer them and will steer them away from a life of crime and violence. But it's a big job, and one mayor or one commissioner cannot do it by themselves. We need the help of the people, and that's why I'm asking for you to continue to support me in this position to move us forward.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Statistically, the city of Benton Harbor is ranked 3rd in the state of Michigan for homicides per capita. What would your plan be as mayor to reduce the amount of community violence?
Well, first of all, before we can really even address that, we have to address the root cause of the violence. And the root cause of the violence is poverty, lack of jobs, lack of housing, lack of training for our youth, different trades and everything that should be in our community. We can't do that. We can't reduce that until we address that. In order to address that, we have a peer mediation in Benton Harbor High School right now, a peer mediation program that is being put together. And I believe our youth should be involved in that. Our youth should be involved in that process as far as trying to decrease this violence, because the violence is really high among our youth. So with the peer mediation, they can come together and talk about their own issues and help solve their own issues with oversight, right? With oversight. I interviewed the actual retired police officer, retired state trooper, that actually
Thank you.
that's a month.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a minute already. Okay.
So, Mayor, my apologies. Mr. Muhammad, on August 10th, 2021, you introduced an 8-point plan. That plan was to bring community leaders together, a curfew of 10 p.m., a porch light for every resident, churches as resolution centers, and community centers as resolution centers as well, 10 additional state troopers, block clubs and neighborhood watch, and 21 days of peace. How have you delivered on that promise?
It's okay to call me mayor. I am still the mayor. I worked with Chief McGinnis, who's now working with the Ministerial Alliance, where they are working with families, working with the high school, and touching our young people as well as those in the community in terms of building relationships and bringing leaders together. Just example of the lead crisis. I worked with Governor Whitmer I worked with Congressman Upton. I worked with her entire administration and staff, and I worked with the local city council in order to bring that to 99.9% completion. Right now, I worked also with the Department of Health and Human Services, where every home is receiving new pipes, receiving new fixtures, new faucets, new hot water heaters, and the list goes on and on. I worked with Ms. Johnson, who came to the city council to present through her nonprofit program, a civil rights division committee, where she wanted to address issues with police. And we passed a resolution in support of her effort. So I've been very open to working with leaders in our community, and I will continue to do so.
Thank you. Mrs. Johnson, June 2020 on WSBT, you hosted a community town hall on July 2nd, 2020 around community violence, police reform, and a host of other issues. Can you speak today to what you've learned and how as mayor you would govern those issues?
What I've learned is that a lot of people in power don't want change, but the residents do, and we need change. And yes, I did have that community forum, and we did collaborate. I tried to bridge the gap between St. Joe, Benton Harbor, even with our youth and our community, and collaborating with other organizations in the community. And so I've been talking in talks with community leaders to help continue with curbing certain things that we need to curb as far as our youth CTE classes, things of that nature, working with the school board. Because part of that forum that I had was the school board too. So we were all working together, and I do see certain things moving in that direction, not with the help of the current administration, unfortunately, but with the help of the community. And we need to put more emphasis on what the community is doing and what the residents are doing.
Thank you. So the city currently has a proposed budget of $2.9 million for public safety.
Okay, as part of our rules for the debate, since Ms. Johnson did invoke you, Mayor Mohammed, you can respond if you'd like. 30 seconds.
I think her thought was incomplete, but what I can say is that when she brought her organization to the city of Benton Harbor, police chief met with her, I met with her as well, and we passed a resolution in support of her organization. And we're still waiting, in fact, for that to come to fruition. But let me just say this, as the mayor of the city of Benton Harbor, it's very important that we understand the limitations, but also the influence that the office can wield to bring about change.
Thank you, Mayor Mohammed. Okay.
So
Since he invoked me, can I rebuttal?
Okay, final 15 seconds, and then we'll go to the follow-up
How
question.
many seconds? 15.
Mhm.
Can I get 30?
Okay, 30.
Okay, at least. Okay. When I came here, yes, I did go before them for a Citizens Review Board, to be correct. That's what it was, Citizens Review Board, and they fought me tooth and I went around and around and around. They made me go through different committees that I shouldn't have to go through. And finally, because I did not give up, they had to pass it. They did pass it. So he is correct in that. But I shouldn't have to fight that hard for the city, for our community, to our city government to pass something like that. And when I came, yes, I met with Chief McGinnis. I did not meet with him personally. I met with the board.
Thank you,
meet with
Ms.
him.
Johnson.
So the city currently has a proposed budget of $2.9 million for public safety. Is that effective? And how, as mayor, will you budget for public safety?
So if you look at our public safety department, they're underpaid, overworked. They are the least in terms of salary, they have the lowest salaries in Berrien County. And that's been a very serious challenge to retain and even get police officers in the city of Benton Harbor. We have developed a program where we recruit and we pay for residents, particularly to go to the police academy, get their licensing and certification. We hire them after they are qualified and we put them out on the road. Public safety in the city of Benton Harbor is very important. In fact, there is a millage coming up where we need for you to support it by voting yes, because there's $1.5 million to our general fund, and we'll be using it to have police officers on the road that will serve and protect. But until we have a society where we do unto others what we want done unto ourselves,
Thank you.
we need police.
Mrs. Johnson?
Can you read the question, please?
Absolutely. How much, so the city currently has a $2.9 million proposed budget for public safety. Is that effective? And how, as mayor, will you budget for public safety?
I don't think it's quite effective. It could be better. Our public safety department needs to be more engaged in the community. What was the last part of the question? How would it be better?
How would you, as mayor, budget for public safety?
Okay, so I would take some of those dollars and put it back into the community, right? And put it back into programs, senior programs, programs for our youth. I cannot stress that enough. Programs that's been stripped away from us. The armory, should have been up and running by now. I know for a fact I was in that meeting with the armory where they got the money years ago for the armory to do that. So monies from the state and federal being allocated to the police department, yeah, it should go there too, but it also should be allocated into rerouting those dollars back into our city to help our community and help our residents here in Benton Harbor.
Thank you. Mayor Mohammed?
Yes,
30
I just
seconds
want
to
to
respond.
Yes, so with the Armory, we just applied for $2.5 million from the Justice 40 grant. When I was in Washington, D.C. at the United States Council of Mayors, I met with the director of the grant and some of President Obama's cabinet members, and we were assured that the city of Benton Harbor would receive high consideration as it relates to the Justice 40 funding. So we look forward to not only renovating the Armory, but staffing the Armory and being an arm in the community to cultivate and develop youth.
Thank you. You mentioned before that officers are underpaid in our public safety department. At $2.9 million, how is that?
Well, if you look at the public safety department, you look at equipment, you have to look at transportation as far as vehicles, you have to look at fire trucks. Keep in mind that our public safety department was combined, where at one time we had a fire department and a police department. Under emergency management, that was consolidated, where now we have a public safety department because we have police officers who now are a police officer 1 second. If a fire happens, they have to change into fire equipment and go fight fires. And what we had to do as a local government and as the mayor, we didn't have a choice in the transformational conversion, but as the mayor, I have to deal with the hand that's been given to me. And I have to act responsibly and make sure that the officers have the equipment, they have the body cams, we have working trucks, and that costs money, residents.
Thank you.
And we have to have our public safety strong.
Mr. Johnson?
With that being said, all that is good, the equipment and all of that, but our public safety strong is not just in equipment. It's in getting out in here in our community, being more not just getting out here when the crime happens, getting out here boots to the ground. I think at one point they were supposed to have bikes riding through the city. I don't know what happened to that, but finding out what the community needs, getting in touch with our residents, letting them know that, yeah, we have all this equipment and body cams, and those are important, But what's more important is having the heart for our children and for our community and letting them know that we are here to protect and serve. We're not here to harass, because sometimes that's what we go through. The state police comes in here and harasses, but be here to protect and serve and build that trust with the community, build that trust with the residents that's not there. And I know because I'm out here in the street talking to people and the trust is not there.
Okay, we really do need to move on, but you have 30 seconds.
Yes, I just wanted to say that, policing is very difficult. It's a very stressful job. It was mentioned about the state police in my 8-point plan, which is actually a 10-point plan. When we had an uptick in crime, I had Pastor Burt and the ministers, Pastor Robinson, who came to me and said, Mayor, we need you to contact the governor. We need support. We need help. And we made the phone call, and they were in to help patrol in the crime and the issue. And we began to get guns off the street. And the issue is being addressed as we speak.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to education. There's a possibility that Ben Harbor area schools will have their debt forgiven, freeing up funds for the school to spend on other projects. If elected mayor, what would you do in partnership with the Ben Harbor Area School Board to maximize the use of these freed up funds from the debt forgiveness? Ms. Johnson?
Sorry, technical difficulties. I think that happens when a mic's volume is being adjusted. Ms. Johnson?
Can you repeat that question again?
Absolutely. So there's a possibility that Ben Harbor area schools will have their debt forgiven, freeing up funds for the school to spend on other projects. If elected mayor, what would you do in partnership with Ben Harbor Area Schools Board to maximize the use of these freed up funds from debt forgiveness?
Well, I will be doing exactly what I'm doing now. I've been working with this, with the debt forgiveness and fighting for the debt forgiveness with the Ben Harbor School District for years since it became an issue. So that I will continue to do that. Under this current administration, they've had opportunities to jump on board and help with the debt forgiveness or speak up on the debt forgiveness more so. But I haven't seen that with this entire administration coming together and speaking up on the debt forgiveness. With the debt forgiveness, with it being forgiven, we can allocate those dollars right back into our community, right back into our schools for our CTE programs that has been stripped away from us, for our driver's ed programs, driver's ed program for our kids, because right now our driver's ed, they have to pay $500 and $600. When I was in school, we didn't have to pay a dime. It was free. So that can free up some of those dollars, even for driver's ed and other CTE programs that we need in our community.
Thank you. So you both have recently traveled to the Capitol to lobby and advocate.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize. It's your turn.
Thank you. So just last Tuesday, in fact, just to segue into your comment, I met with the governor's executive staff and the state budget director, her special advisors, with the Black mayors of Michigan, which I currently serve as the chairman in the 16 cities. And debt forgiveness was at the top of that list. We went from that room at the George Romney building, we walked over to the state capitol, and we met with the Senate Appropriations Chairwoman, who was State Senator Sir Anthony. And we had a conversation with her. And as it stands, it's on the agenda. I asked directly, is the political will, is the economic will there to forgive the debt? And they said both are there. And that was from the governor's executive staff, and that was also from State Senator Anthony directly. So I just want to say to you, as the mayor, I do respect those who are working on the ground, but it's my role to work at the top and talk to the top. And sometimes that's not with a megaphone. standing outside. That's sitting down as the mayor with power,
Thank you, Mayor Mohammed.
respectfully, and making those demands.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to taxes.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say.
In 2019, the city of Benton Harbor passed a city income tax, which is unique in the state of Michigan, taxing the income of residents of the city of Benton Harbor yearly. If elected mayor, what would be your plan for the city income tax, and what should those dollars be used for? Mr. Muhammad.
Thank you. Just a small correction. So the city income tax was passed in November 2017, and it went into effect in January of 2018. And when we put it on the ballot, we promised the residents that we would spend every penny, every nickel, and every dime on infrastructure, streets, alleys, sidewalks, roads. And if you ride around Benton Harbor, you see right now sidewalks being done. You ride down Paw Paw, totally new street, all the way to the railroad tracks. You ride down Empire Bridge, bridge where it was a crater haven. Right now, it's smooth. You think you're coming into a whole new city. And that's just a couple. If you look also throughout, side streets are being done. So we did what we said we would do, and we will continue to do that. And lastly, we've been able to leverage that money to get more money, because before the city would get grants, but they were matching grants. But now we can match the money and get all of it.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson.
I think the money should go to where it's supposed to go, which is in the infrastructure of the city and the crumbling streets of the city. With the amount that has been increased, where is that money? We don't know who's overseeing that money. There was the current administration, the mayor, Marcus Muhammad, had formed a committee to oversee those income tax dollars, those increase of the income tax dollars, and to meet about it and to see where those monies are going. Residents are concerned now that there hasn't been a meeting. Nobody has said anything about, what's going on with the income tax dollars. We see the streets. Yes, some things are being done, but we should be further along than where we are. If you're getting all this money that's coming in, the streets shouldn't be looking like, as one resident say, a quilt. They shouldn't be just patched over. They should be redone. They should be repaired properly, like they should be.
Thank you.
May I, please?
Sure.
So the city of Benton Harbor was founded in 1865. When I walked into office, the cupboard was bare. We were under financial emergency management at the time. So the first role was to get us out of that. And then I said, well, 2013, we tried to pass it. It didn't pass. 2017, we put a plan together and the residents passed it. And now we have funding and money to fix our streets. But if anybody tells you that they can repair Benton Harbor overnight, they're lying.
Thank you.
Benton Harbor, it's going to take time, effort, unity,
Mr. Mayor.
and people to repair Benton
It's
Harbor.
been years.
Pardon me.
So in terms of a finance director, what will be your plan to have a full-time finance director? We'll start with you, Ms. Johnson.
We need a full-time finance director in the city of Benton Harbor. We've had two that resigned, or I don't know, got fired, whatever. They're not here anymore for whatever reason. We should have somebody to oversee those funds. We should have somebody to come in and do an audit as far as where our money is going. Right now, we have nobody in as far as the finance director is concerned. So we do need a finance director to go in and audit and find out and make sure these funds are being allocated to the place they're supposed to be allocated to.
Thank you. Mr. Muhammad.
Yes, thank you. So right now, currently, just a fact check, Berrien, which is the largest accounting firm in the country, and they help many municipalities throughout the state of Michigan. The last time we had a finance director in the city prior to emergency management was 2009. We've hired 3, but I just have to say this. You know, we're hiring at that position at 80,000. You know, people who are certified public accountants and have the qualifications, you know, they're looking for a much higher salary than what the city of Benton Harbor can provide. And that's a challenge for us. And that's why we need more businesses, we need more revenue, we need economic development so we can build capacity and have the budget. Because if you look at finance directors across the state, they're not making 80 to 85,000. That position is making 60.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Ms. Johnson, you had kind of a reaction there. Would you like to respond?
Plant Moran, I don't even want to delve into that, but as far as the city's funds being allocated and the finance director, they do, again, they need to come in and they need to audit our city, our funds, follow the money, and you'll know what happened to it, because a lot of the funds that we've been getting has not been allocated to the proper places. And with the city it's the city financial director in place, they can make sure that those funds are allocated. Back to the armory, I met a few years ago with at that time, the economic and development director. She assured me the money was there, that we had a meeting with the full body. The money was there for the armory to be refurbished or renovated. So I met with her personally to find out what's going on with the money. Oh, we have the money. Yes, we do. They said it in the meeting. They had the money to do the armory years ago, and it's still not done.
Thank you.
Thank you. So
30 seconds, please.
Just a fact check. The city of Benton Harbor has had 8 consecutive clean, unmodified audits. So that's just, you can Google that. We had a watchdog group who said we weren't reporting our federal funding. And we produced the receipts, and they came out with a public apology to the residents of Benton Harbor and to the staff in Benton Harbor. So we're handling business with the money. We got over $45 million. And Senator Peters came to the city chambers and said, where do you finish a project early, you finish under budget, and still have $26 million left to continue to do other improvements? Your money is safe with me as the mayor of the city.
Thank you. So now we'll speak about federal and state money allocations. With the unprecedented amount of funding being made available by federal and state governments, as mayor, how would you spend these dollars to maximize their impact for Benton Harbor residents? We'll start with you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, first of all, I'll tell you how we have spent. The city of Benton Harbor, the lead project was $33 million, and that was a pass-through. Most of that money came from the federal government. 8.6 million came from the feds, and the others came from the state government through a pass-through. Every dime is accounted for. We have $26 million left. 21 million is going to go toward our water distribution system. Another 5 million is going to go toward upgrades and improvements at the water filtration plant. The project that you saw on Paw Paw, the project that you've seen in Empire Bridge, the money that you see fixing the sidewalk, fixing the alleys, improvements, the money that you see Broadway Park, Union Park. People would not be pouring money in, investing in this city if they thought that a corrupt government and mayor was sitting at 200 East Wall Street. They know that the money is secure and integrity is in front of it.
Ms. Johnson.
That money, the relief funding, should go back into the city. With all the money that's being said that is pouring into the city, why do we still have high water rates, high water bills? Why isn't the water bills being zeroed out? That money can be funded for that, to relieve the residents' stress level and having to continue to pay these high water bills, right? It was been said by a commissioner to me personally that they have the money to zero out all these water bills. So why isn't it being done with all this money coming into the city? We need to take care of our people. We need to start taking care of our city and letting them know that we do care and not putting more stress on them by raising water rates and not zeroing out their bills. Yeah, certain things are being done right now because a lot of times people do stuff because it's election time, so you want to make people think there's something going on. Okay, that's fine
Thank
and
you.
dandy, but it's not true.
Thank you. Your response?
So in response to that, just another fact check, the city of Benton Harbor, through the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act dollars, where we got 9.8 million, and we still have roughly about 3 million left. We passed a resolution, the city council, where we gave the residents a $750 credit. We also gave the residents a $350 credit
Zero amount.
on the water bills. Why did we do this? I met with Governor Whitmer and I asked her, can the city of Benton Harbor get water credits as the city of Flint did? And she shared with me she needs the state legislator to lean in and help her in doing that. Now, this was prior to the group that she has now. But the other part of that is the city of Benton Harbor had received nearly 2.5 million bottles of water for drinking. So, you know, again, the assistance and the help is there. But at this point, we do need the residents to pay in. But lastly, we need more water customers, which is why housing is
Thank you, Mr.
big
Muhammad.
on my list.
Stop taxing.
So using those funds from the federal and state government, what's a cause that you would like to champion that isn't currently being funded? We'll start with you, Ms. Johnson.
I would like to champion a racial equity department, a racial justice department to put those protection measures in place to make sure that the funding, everything that's being funded is going to the right place, is being allocated into the right place. When these big contractors come in and our current administration wants to give them tax abatements, these big corporations that have the money to pay taxes, but they give them tax abatement, and then all that tax abatement should go to the small businesses that are coming into the city. You know, allow them to get on their feet instead of giving these big corporation tax abatements. So relief funding for our people is very pertinent and very crucial.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
Thank you. So federal money, number one, we have to understand that when the feds give you money, it has to be based upon allocations, projects that qualify, number one, for federal dollars. So one of the things that I would like to see is a total rehabilitation of number one, Harbor Towers. I would like to have at least $10 to $15 million invested in Harbor Towers in order to totally renovate it. And we reclassify it where 55 and older, which is how it started, senior citizens have a decent and quality place to live. We already applied for $2.5 million to totally renovate and revive the armory. But transportation in the city of Benton Harbor is critical. Over $66 billion in federal money right now for transportation, and Secretary Buttigieg is ready to deliver it to Benton Harbor as the former mayor of South.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Ms. Johnson.
Yeah, let's speak about Harbor Towers. So back in January, so there is fun. Back in January, HUD came in and they reviewed, they went and toured Harbor Towers. They did what they said they were, come here to do, to see what was going on in Harbor Towers. At the meeting, following that, they had a commission meeting, and the current administration said that they were looking into, because Harbor Towers living arrangements right now is just terrible. It's cruel. Nobody should live there. Wait, I gotta finish. Back in January, current administration said they were going to be looking to put our people up in hotels. Up until this day, they are not. They are still living in those conditions. And that's unfair to our people. But they put St. Joe, Lakeview Terrace, back in January in hotels, and they just got them out a couple of months ago. So to me, that's where the funding should go.
Thank you.
Part of it.
Did you have a
Mayor
response?
Mohammed, would you want 30 seconds to respond? If not, we can move on to the next topic.
Yes, I would. So I've been in contact with Congressman Heisinger's office. I've been in contact with the governor's staff and her administration. Harvard Towers needs help, but Harvard Towers needs money. Harvard Towers has
They got
been
money.
bad for a long time. When I was shooting hoops at this high school, Harvard Towers needed help. And it's unfortunate that it had to wait until I'm in this office. But what I can guarantee you, I'm working on the problem now, and if reelected, at the end of that term, you'll see a total transformation and a huge difference in Harvard Towers. But as I said,
Thank you,
when
Mayor
I
Mohammed.
thank you.
So, understanding the role of mayor. According to the Ben Harbor City Charter, it states that the mayor shall be the presiding officer and executive head of the city and perform such other duties as are or may be imposed or authorized by the laws of this state or by this charter. What specifically do you see the role of mayor as? Mr. Mohammed.
Thank you. The mayor, number one, is the chief public servant of the city of Benton Harbor, but also the mayor has the pen. Just recently, I signed for the option to purchase for the Mercy property, which is a $33 million development, 79 units. When this school was on the verge of being shut down, and Governor Whitmer looked me in the eye and told me I have to shut it down. As the mayor of the city, that's when I have to stand up even to the governor's office to protect the interests of my community. And I, in all due respect, let her know that's unacceptable, and I will fight to keep Ben Harbor High School open. But the role is vast. You know, I've had to help partner with businesses in the community to help Berrien families who did not have the money. But the business reached out and said, Mayor, I want to help that family.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Johnson.
Yeah, the mayor is the head of the city to look out for the best interests of the people. Is part of the city council, also at times oversees committees and goes into partnerships with different organizations in the city. But in this current administration, and to look out for the people, let me just talk about that. Look out for the people. In this current administration, I've seen where our people have come to the commission meetings and been scolded for coming, have been set down. They talk about the water issue, they shut them down. They talk about the fire hydrant issue, they shut them down. They say if you don't have 5 on it, don't come and say anything about anything. They told the residents to, if you don't like our decisions that we're making, move. You don't tell our residents to move. The people that elected you and put you in these seats, you don't scold them. You give them a chance to speak. They have a right to speak. They have issues that's plaguing us that they have a right to speak on, and we have a right,
Thank you. 30 seconds, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Number one, I never told a resident that. But if you look at my track record, I've been a servant in this community since I came back. I was a 7th and 8th grade boys and girls coach, the varsity basketball coach, women's assistant coach, city commissioner, mayor pro tem. I didn't just jump up and say, hey, I want to be the mayor. I got on the council and learned. I learned under Mayor Hightower. I learned under Mayor Cook. I learned from Congressman Upton because I wanted to qualify myself to be the mayor because the mayor of Benton Harbor is serious and leadership is serious.
Ms. Johnson, what personnel changes, if any, would you push as the mayor of Benton Harbor and city government?
personnel. You said personnel?
Yes, ma'am.
What I would do is, first of all, I would go in and I would review every city in the department, do a review and a study of every city and department, because one thing we have to understand that until the inside is right, the outside won't be right. So we have to go in and monitor and find out and review these policies and procedures and hold people accountable for doing their job. Coach them up if need be, talk to them, see what resources are lacking for them not doing their job, because the job needs to be done. No matter what, the job needs to be done. So going into reviewing policies, making sure that everything's in place, rearranging whatever we need to rearrange to make the city better on the inside. Because when the inside It's right, the outside shines bright.
Mr. Muhammad.
Yes, thank you. The first thing I think you have to understand the city charter. The city commission, the mayor, have 5 employees, and everybody else works for the city manager. 10 years ago, 13 years ago, prior to emergency management, the city of Benton Harbor had over 101 employees. When emergency management left, now we have just a little over 50. So, we have, some say 2 men in a truck trying to maintain and run a city. So being the mayor is easier said than done. You have to work with what you have. And I think that we've retained staff, we built capacity, and we're growing. But it's going to take time to build our way back from where we were to where we were gutted and really left abandoned. But I want to thank the staff and thank those who have hung in there with Benton Harbor, and better days are ahead.
Thank you. So our final topic will be infrastructure, and then we'll move into our closing discussion. With the passing of the bipartisan infrastructure law, a renewed focus has been placed on roads, bridges, dams, and other quality of life aspects across America. What is your plan, if elected mayor, to invest in infrastructure and the quality of life here in Benton Harbor? We'll start with you, Mr. Muhammad.
Thank you. I met with Mitch Landrieu, who is President Biden's special advisor, and he's over the infrastructure. And his message to me and to the mayors was, have your team in place and have your business in order, because those are the cities that are going to receive the funding. And he said that it's a lot coming. And there's multiple streams coming to the city of Benton Harbor as we speak, for roads, for sidewalks. We have over $1 million that's going to be announced to clean up Ox Creek this particular Saturday. We have another $5 million through Senator Peters. So we just have to be in position. But I do have to tell you, politics is about relationships, not friendships. And you need to have people in places and in position to have the relationships in order to broker on your behalf.
Thank you.
Repeat
Ms.
the
Johnson,
question. Repeat it, please.
one more time.
Repeat the question.
Oh, sure. With the passing of the bipartisan infrastructure law, a renewed focus has been placed on roads, bridges, dams, and quality of life aspects across America. What is your plan, if elected mayor, to invest in infrastructure and the quality of life here in Benton Harbor?
To invest in infrastructure, to do just that with the money, where it's supposed to be done with the money. Invest in our infrastructure. Like I said, these roads should have been done. A lot of these roads should not be patched up. We keep talking about so much money coming by and coming down the pipes, but years and years and years, our infrastructure has been crumbling. It's still crumbling. But like I said, we wait until sometimes election time to try to look like we're doing stuff. But this city should be further along than what it is. So yes, putting that money into the infrastructure where it's supposed to be, so we can have what we're supposed to. We shouldn't have potholes messing up our cars and our wheel alignments and things of that nature that the city is not going to pay for, but that's what's going on. So again, reallocating those funds back into our city, making sure that infrastructure is correct and being built like it's supposed to.
Ms. Johnson, you invoked that streets shouldn't be patched. What specific areas of the city are you referring to? And then what areas of the city would you want to concentrate on?
It's a lot. I don't know exactly which street it is, but I drive down the street, you see patches all over the street, the black patches, like the resident said, looks like a quilt. But those are the streets I'm talking about. And all the roads, all the crumbling roads, even with the infrastructure, when we get contractors in here to do some work in our city, they leave it looking like crap sometimes. But we're paying them, right? We're paying them to do their job, but they're not doing their job correctly. And the city is not holding them accountable to come in and fix these roads like they're supposed to be fixed. When they go in St. Joe and they fix the roads and things of that nature, when they're done with everything, it's smooth just like it was before.
Mr. Muhammad?
Well, I would just say, if you look at the Public Works Department in St. Joe, they have nearly 35 employees. The city of Benton Harbor has barely 10. 4, that's full-time, and we have part-time. So again, money. The city of Benton Harbor needs money in funding in order to build our capacity and build our staff. But what I can say, where the city was when I walked in and got in office, and you look at the work, just look at the work, the streets that's being done, the sidewalks, the assessed budget for fixing Benton Harbor's infrastructure was $100 million. And in a community with a per capita of $17,000 to $21,000, where's the money gonna come from? That's when you need a mayor that can partner and work with state, federal, county government to bring money in here while we build up the city, have economic development, and be able to do it on our own. But right now, we need money and we need to have relationships and we have to have leadership.
So we'll move into our closing statements. We'll start with you, Ms. Johnson. 2
Well,
minutes, please.
how many?
2 minutes, please.
Well, I just want to say thank you all for coming and thank you all for having me here today. My heart is for the people. My heart is to do right. It's always the right time to do right by the people. It's always the right time to do right, right? We need to make sure that we are in tune with the residents. I'm a Fresh Start Initiative champion. We have a Fresh Start Initiative plan that the city passed, but has not yet really delved into it. So we need to come together and make sure the Fresh Start Initiative is being initiated in our city. So I am that, and I am here for the city. I'm here for our residents. I'm on the boots on the ground, and I'm talking to people to see what they need, what they want. The trust isn't there right now in our current administration. They don't trust the city government. They don't trust the police department. We have to do better. We have to do better by our people. We have to do better. We have to show more love. Yeah, it is about relationships. You're right. It's not about politics. It's about relationships. And we need to have those serious conversations and those serious and sincere relationships for our kids and for our people, and make sure that we are moving them forward and not taking them 10 years backwards. And that's what I'm here to do. When I am elected mayor, I will make sure I fight for the people like I've been fighting for the people. Always will fight for the people until I can't fight it anymore.
Thank you. Mr. Muhammad.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Berrien Forward and for everybody that came out tonight, seeing your democracy at work. I'd like to thank Ms. Johnson, and I commend her for having the inspiration and desire to be the mayor of Benton Harbor. When I saw President Biden for the first time in Detroit at the car show, and I introduced myself as the mayor of Benton Harbor, he said, "Oh, you have a hard job." But he thanked me for the work that we have been doing. And I just want to say that, Benton Harbor, we've been through a lot. We came through a financial crisis. We went through an education crisis. We went through a pandemic, health crisis, and we just came through a water crisis. And we're better off today, and we've been able to continue to move this city forward. And I have to tell you that with your support, the best is yet to come. Housing, we have nearly $60 million on the table. Corner of Wall Street, 55 units, grocery store, Mercy property, over 79 units. It's many projects, many things in place, and I need your support to continue to move us forward and make Benton Harbor great again. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as we close today, definitely want to give both of our candidates a round of applause. And also, again, for the third time, give yourselves a round of applause. I really appreciate everyone coming out. Thank you to Berrien Forward, for Mr. Chokwe Pitchford, for organizing this, for also Voters Not Politicians, Mr. Lynn. Oh, I'm sorry, Lyndon. Oh, I'm sorry. Candidates, you may exit.
Can you take a picture together?
Yes, we can.
All right. Can we come to the middle?
We did really great.
Stay right there. 1, 2, and hold it again. Stay right there. Hold it. Look at my glasses. One more. If you could for me, say Berrien forward on 3, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Berrien forward.
He spent too much money on this stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, before you get out of here, I just want to take the opportunity to thank every single person that's in this room. Throughout the last couple of years in the country, we have seen the vitriol and the fighting get to a point where politics has almost become unbearable. And I don't know about you. I've been in the back. We've been working hard to make this event what it was. But this was refreshing, wasn't it? Seriously. To hear people with different ideologies, different backgrounds, different thought processes on stage talking through the complex issues of the day is what democracy was supposed to be predicated upon. And for each candidate to get on this stage and treat each other with the respect that they deserve is important. And what I want to do publicly is thank every single person up here. This group has worked tirelessly over the last 5 or 6 weeks to put this event together. And I'm going to give a couple people a chance to speak. But Charlie, for specific, as the first employee I've hired at Berrien Forward, it's a big thing when you run an organization to hire your first employee. And Charlie has been here with me since when I ran for state representative years ago. And to be able to bring him on, Charlie, I just want to publicly say thank you for being there for me. This guy right here, so Lyndon, we met via email, and he came to Benton Harbor, and we had coffee at Forte Coffee. And as we're sitting there talking, he's like, is there any way I can get involved in Benton Harbor? And I said, looks like you're going to be a part of the future of Benton Harbor debate. And he was like, I barely know who you are, and you're signing me up for stuff. And this man has been committed since that day, working with me tirelessly to build this event. Please give him a round of applause. Demiron, this guy right here, I've known him since I was like 11 years old. And to see the man that he has blossomed into is astounding. To see how he has engineered the audio, the video, the sound, making sure all of these things work together is important. Because not everybody is going to be that person on stage with the camera and lights on them. You need the people in the background that understand what HDMI 3 means. And I can't be more proud of you, especially with how much we have been through trying to put this together. I appreciate you. Last but not least, your moderator for the night, Mr. James Gunter down here on the end. Give him a round of applause. First time ever moderating, right? James, first time? Could you tell? All right. James, he did. Give him a round. James answered the call right on time when I called asking for who was going to moderate this debate, because I wanted somebody up here who had the heartbeat of the community, but that every candidate was going to feel comfortable asking them questions. And James, you are a rising star, man. I cannot wait to see what you do next. Thank you. Thank you. Lyndon, please say a few words.
Well, thank you, Shokway. I will keep it brief because I know we're past time and you all want to get out of here, but I said it before, on behalf of Voters Not Politicians Education Fund, we're just so happy and thrilled to be a part of this event. And this is what civic engagement looks like. Candidates showing up answering questions from the community, giving you all a sense of what their vision is, so that way you have a more informed vote at the ballot. And we were just so happy that we could help make this event happen. This was a little new for us, but it was really right aligned with our mission of civic engagement and voter education. As Benton Harbor residents, as members of the community, you all know what you're looking for in your future elected leaders. We just wanted to present a fair and free opportunity to bring the leaders and the community together. And I hope we did that. I'm really happy that we were able to have this done.
Thank you.
The last thing I'll say is just, if you haven't already on your way out for the voter access town hall, as I said, this event lets you learn about the candidates. Now there's new voting laws coming to Michigan. We want you to know about how you can make the best plan to vote this November and in 2024. So please grab a flyer, scan the QR code. We'll have more communications out, but save the date for October 21st, that Saturday at the Boys and Girls Club.
Thank you all. One picture? All right, we're going to get a picture together, everybody. Yes, please, Commissioner Yarborough.
We have a family, the last name is Defoe, and the mother, Mary Defoe, was prominent in the NAACP for 60, 70 years, and in Benton Harbor, Michigan. So you probably have relatives here.
Yes, my last name is Defoe.
Miss Yarborough be learning. Every time I see her, she teach me something new. Thank you all. We're going to take a couple pictures, but thank you once again, and make sure you get out and vote on November 7th.